Hi, I'm Cassie.
And I'm Mariah.
And this is the Cassie and Mariah Show, a podcast where two long-distance internet friends, that's us, discuss navigating their 20s through disability and chronic illness. Mariah, what's up? How are you surviving Arctic blast, U.S. takeover 2K24?
It's the craziest U.S. tour since the Beatles. It's been, I honestly, can't remember the last time that it snowed in New Jersey. It must have been 2022, very early, or, even 2021. Because, last year... because last year, 2023, we did not have one single snow day. We haven't had, a decent snow day where, schools closed and, people had delayed openings in a while. And I honestly was kind of to the point where I was like, what if it never snows here ever again? Because of that, we really haven't been getting much snow the past couple years. So now that we've had, some, even when I see my phone and it says, the degrees outside is, 18, I'm like, wow, I can't remember it being this cold, in a long time. So, as somebody that loves the snow, I am enjoying it. I do really like I like the chill. I like watching the flurries fall. I like, honestly, not having a reason to go anywhere. I like being able to, go outside with Caden, and he likes to jump around in the snow. I love seeing, the critter footsteps in the snow, and I just really enjoy it. Today is a day where there's not a single cloud in the sky, but it did snow yesterday. It was a little bit of a blizzard, some icy conditions and stuff. I was going to go to the gym last night, but I walk out to my car, and there's just a thin layer of ice on my street where, if I could stand there, and if I move my feet without holding on to anything, I would have ate shit. I really would have just slipped. So I decided to not go anywhere last night and just hung out. Today's it's thawing out a little bit just because there's no clouds. It's pretty sunny today, but it's still cold. It's still less than 20 degrees. But yeah, I don't really know if we're going to even get more snow this upcoming week or weekend, because I know you guys are going through a bit of a frost over there. So I was just wondering if that was moving over to the east, but I don't really think it is, or at least not yet.
I think it was moving, because it was basically, if I remember right, it was one of those polar vortex things where it comes down from Canada, which is why it covered the whole country mostly.
Right.
So you guys got actual snow though.
Yeah, it was snow, and then there was some rain that turned to ice, and then it's more snow again. But it wasn't a lot of snow. It's definitely not anything more than a foot.
I'm sorry, more than a foot. So you got inches of snow, though.
Yes.
Oh,
well,
damn.
I would say maybe 6 inches, give or take.
That's significant. Wow.
Well, you know what it is? When I was younger, we would get, sometimes we would get feet. So that's why, anything around 6 inches, to me, personally, isn't a lot of snow.
Wow.
But, because I remember when I was younger, being outside and being I'm, obviously you're smaller, but at least it's up to my shin, at least a foot. But now it's definitely, I would say, maybe I would say between 3 to 6 inches of snow, but I know most of it is ice.
Yeah.
There really wasn't a lot of, the roads weren't horrible, but I guess it's just more of the ice being slippery and black ice and things like that.
Wow. I'm just amazed because basically most of ours was ice. When the storm first came in, we got a little bit of snow, which is why it is white outside, but other than that, it's been freezing rain for days. And
really?
Yeah, and so today it's finally the sun's out, and things are dripping finally. But it hasn't been getting it, the ground is so frozen, and the stuff on the ground is so frozen that it's taking forever to actually thaw out. Here we in Oregon, we really we only get it's usually under 6 inches if we're gonna get snow. In 5th grade we had 3.5 feet, completely random.
Wow.
And then when I was in the hospital for my 2-week spine stay, Portland got a foot of snow. But when those things happen, it's like pretty like dramatic, like breaking news, like you know, because we don't usually get that much. And it's like people are like looking at the videos of Portland and like making fun of drivers for not knowing how to like drive in winter conditions and stuff, but it's like this isn't just like snow, it's black ice. And it was black ice and like freezing rain with blizzard conditions for most people. And so it was like 60-mile-an-hour winds plus the ice on the trees, and so it's like, yeah, there were trees coming down all over Portland and, you know, just anywhere that was being affected by the storm. And so it's like, I've never seen like, there are more stories of trees going through people's houses than the news can cover. It's not like one freak story. It's like, no, it's like literally like 30, 40 plus homes have been obliterated by trees going through them. Plus it's like every time, like, people were without power for like 6 days. I haven't left the house since before we last recorded a week ago. And grocery stores were having to throw everything out that was perishable.
Yeah, because of power going out.
Because of power going out. And then they, of course, couldn't get deliveries because of the ice. And especially because our wind was coming down through the gorge, which is a main trucking route. And so that really didn't help. And yeah, it's just been pretty miserable. Quite a few people have died from hypothermia, from trees falling, other freak accidents. Like, it's been pretty bad. And yeah, it's just been very wild to witness. And here I am over here, have not lost power. We didn't get the wind at all. We're just iced in, but I'm over here like, wah, I want chocolate-covered pretzels. Wah, I want Caesar salad. Like, we have plenty of food. Like I said, we didn't lose power. We're totally fine. But I'm still being a whiny baby when there are people out there dying, Cassie. Get a grip.
I mean, like, you know, even here, I've watched the news with a couple things going on, like, with, I don't really think any power outages, but like trees or, you know, ice, people sliding, cars sliding and stuff. Like, I've seen some of that. I love the videos of people that are like busting out like skis and ice skates, like going down the roads and stuff. They are kind of nice. But, you know, I really don't know too much that's going on, really, honestly, because I've been so invested in like my audiobooks. Like, I'm so invested in a different world.
I mean, that's good sometimes.
I mean, I think it's just because, like, you know, I like having the excuse to not do anything or go anywhere. Like, I love just being able to, like, oh, the weather's shitty, time to just hang out at home and play video games. Like, you know, I'll watch some stuff with the news because, like, weather or just, like, you know, stuff in my like, local environment and things. But I really don't, I think for the most part, we've been okay over here. I think it's just because the snow, you know, like, I feel like it's more snowy than it is icy.
Yeah, that definitely helps, because I feel like we'll have some, like, but it's usually the ice that, like, screws up our power, because obviously it's, like, if it's knocking down trees, the trees are taking down the power lines.
Right.
Like, and then also it's just the ice on the power lines. Like, our power has been flickering basically the past week. But not ever knocking out. And I think it's literally just from ice on the lines or from the heavy branches weighing on the lines. But it was like, you know, hundreds of thousands of people were without power. They would get a bunch of people restored. Then we would get another wave of ice and wind that would knock them back out. It was so bad.
Oh my gosh.
So it's like they really couldn't keep up. And then, because of telephone poles getting knocked down, they didn't have enough cranes to be able to get certain ones back up. And then the cranes, when they finally got them in, were sliding off the road because the road hadn't melted. It was so bad.
Oh my God.
I think we're finally coming up on the end of things. Things are thawing out a little bit more. Portland was pretty bad again yesterday. I mean, basically anything and everything has been closed for the past week. But yeah, I think tomorrow we're finally going to venture out and just try to get groceries because I can't stop adding snacks. I'm going to have to give you a snack haul because I can't stop because I'm just like, again, I had plenty of just like normal food stuff to get through, but like I don't really like eating lunch. I'm kind of over breakfast. I'm a good dinner eater, but otherwise the rest of the day I'm like kind of snacky, kind of, I don't know, like I just scavenge things up.
We're foraging.
Yes, foraging. Yes, pretty much. And so it's like, I'm out of a lot of my usual snacks, and so it's like, I've added lots of new snack. Like I just can't, because I'm like, nowadays we get most of our winter weather like January, February, sometimes into March. So I'm like, I'd rather just like stockpile a bunch of, it's all shelf stable, just pantry snacks. So it's like, I'd rather just stockpile a bunch of stuff right now because I'm like, I'll eat it either way before it expires. And it's like, I just don't want to go through another storm without good snacks. Damn it.
I get that. No, I feel that right now because like I ate like a whole bag of sour cream and onion chips the other night. And I was like, fuck. Those are my chips for the storm, and I ate them all already. Like, I've been snacking down all my stuff, even, like, my cups of soup. I'm trying to, and then I try to, like ration stuff, and I'm like, oh, my God, Mariah, like, just eat the fucking candy bar. Because I was like, my sugary snacks, like, my candy snacks. I'm like, oh, man. I have no more weed left. I'm dying over here.
And we started running out of, like, ingredients to make. Like, we were making, like, Rocky Road candy, which is, like, chocolate-covered nuts and marshmallows, basically, and stuff like that. And we just started, like, running out of all of our baking stuff. And we're like, come on. Can't a girl have a treat in this storm?
Right?
But, yeah, no, it's just, the whole thing has been very interesting. And we also didn't expect to be frozen in this long. And so I think that really, it's like they were like, oh, we'll thaw out by Wednesday. Well, then we'll thaw out by Thursday. Then we'll thaw out by Friday. And it's like, here we are. It's Saturday. It's been a week of this shit. And we're only just now starting to think about venturing out. So we will see how it goes. I think it'll be fine. I think enough people have been out and about driving in it at this point that it's broken up a lot of the stuff. And since we didn't get anything new really yesterday in terms of damage and extra ice and stuff, it's like, I think we're finally coming out of it, and hopefully we don't have, like, I wanted a normal snow day. That was the worst part. There was nothing fun to watch. It was dumping freezing rain. It was, I love to sit and stare out the window and watch, but it's like, no, it's like being frozen in an icy hell is not my winter snow day dream. But but I feel grateful that I work remotely because that does make me go a little less stir crazy, and it's also been giving me a lot of routine, which has been really helpful. I was really nervous before I started my job, just in terms of, like, working full-time and school full-time is a lot. And people were like, are you going to be able to do that? And I've actually had no issue at all. And so I'm feeling very good about that. And then last week when I was in the office, there happened to be some people from my school who came through to meet with the representative I work for, because my school's in her district, and the person I was talking to was like, oh, are you getting credit for working here? And I was like, no, I didn't think that was an option because I'm not an intern. She was like, no, you can get credit for just, like, actually working. And so she connected me with a professor who, like, oversees, like, political science, like, credit stuff, and he sent me more info yesterday, and basically I could get up to 12 credits for my job, which is absurd. I thought he was going to say 4.
Right, like
just
one class.
Yeah. And instead he said 12 because of how many hours it is, and plus I would need to write, like, 20-page paper for him, but
hey man, anything to graduate early.
Yes, so basically it's like that would knock off my whole spring term, and I would graduate in March, which is completely unexpected and would be I don't know, very cool because my current job ends in March. And so if there's other opportunities in the legislature that I could easily transition into, that would be amazing. But who knows? I don't know. I was just like, damn, that's really cool. Like, I don't know how it's just like cool and exciting. Like, yes, there were other classes I was excited to maybe take, but I don't know. I can always, there's, learning doesn't start and end with school,
Oh, of course. Right. And like, especially when in the job that you're currently in where you can learn so much, like still. And so it's kind of like, why not?
Exactly.
Like, if you're already literally taking the credits, if you're already essentially doing a 24 credit semester right now, like, why not graduate early?
Exactly.
Would that change when you walk?
No, because commencement's in June, and so, I mean, they'd probably just mail me my diploma sometime, but
right.
No, because there's only at least I'm pretty sure there's only the once a year main commencement, and so I would still just do everything then.
I know most colleges around here do like a summer graduation, and then also they do one for like the fall. Like if you so like I had a friend that just walked like 2 weeks ago at a local university because she like her fall term was her last term. So I wasn't sure what it would be like, but also I assume because you guys are 3.
Yeah,
you guys
I
do
feel
3
like
semesters.
There might be. Yeah, we're on a quarter system. And so I feel like there might be some smaller ceremonies that happen throughout the year, but like I want to be part of the main big one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that would still be, I don't know, that would be so cool and exciting. And yeah, other than that, unfortunately the snow did cause my doctor's appointment to get postponed, because my doctor couldn't get there, I couldn't get there. So I am looking forward to talking about adjusting my Lexapro because my depression symptoms definitely are getting worse. Not from the Lexapro, but just I think from me being used to it. Like it's not a high enough dosage because it did help for a couple of weeks, and then it's like now it's not help. I mean, it's still helping to some degree. It's still not as bad as it was before, but I'm just kind of like it is like, especially like motivation and executive functioning has really been a challenge for me, which is frustrating. So,
dude, I feel that's so hard. Like that's kind of what I've been thinking this past week too. Is like my anxiety is like has been getting really bad again, and I'm like, dude, it was like the first couple weeks of being on Lexapro, like it really did like curb a lot of what I was feeling, and now it's like I'm like, oh my god, and even like my time management, like which is like. Having ADHD and anxiety, like the time management is affected by both, but I was so certain, like, or at least like, from like being on Lexapro that it was going to help with some time management. But like, I feel like if I don't get like certain things done in a certain amount of time during the day, I'm like, oh my God, like it causes me so much stress. And I'm like, it's not even like worth it to be stressed about this. Like, I don't know why I'm getting so like upset about like deadlines that I'm making up for myself essentially. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, I actually have my doctor's appointment next week to discuss my Lexapro and ADHD medications again and things like that. So I'm definitely going to be like, yeah, I would like to bump up the Lexapro and, talk about starting a non-stim ADHD medication because it's just getting like you get used to it and then you kind of like fall back into the same patterns, and especially like the executive functioning. Oh my god, it's suffering so bad. And like I know the weather also hasn't been helping us either.
Yeah, I think we're in the thick of winter. It is starting to stay lighter later and get lighter earlier again, and I will say that is the nice thing about it being white outside right now is I feel like that actually helps a lot. And so I will miss that aspect, but no, I do think that we're in the thick of seasonal depression, and that's not helping.
Yeah, no, 100%. Like, and there's a lot of other like contributing factors to it all, but I feel like it's just kind of like the ebbs and flows of like being on medication, or at least in the beginning, and it's hard to not like really internalize it, be like, oh my god, like I'm never gonna get better, like oh my god, it's like only gonna get worse, and it's like no, like. It will get better. Like, you're gonna be okay. It's just like you know, you're gonna need the adjustment period, and like you're gonna have to go through these adjustments, and it's gonna be okay. But it's just hard right now.
I will say too I think the thing that I've been struggling with regards to mental health is like in the past, like there's always been a clear reason for why I feel the way I do. And so, I mean, we know that depression is quite literally a chemical imbalance. And like sometimes that's all it is. Like my life is going extremely well right now and I still feel like this, and that's okay. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm getting the help that I need. And I know that too, it's like still me recovering from the past year and stuff, and I have to try to remember that. But it's like my life is so good right now. I don't know. It's just like frustrating to not be able to enjoy it to the level that I
that
wish
you want
I could.
to. Yeah.
But we're getting there.
Yeah, I get that. I think that that's completely like valid, you know, to feel like that. Because I mean, I'm kind of the same way where I'm like, dude, I love life right now. Like, I'm chilling, I'm doing great, and I'm like, oh man, but like I'm constantly stressed and anxious about things that like don't even like exist in like my realm. So it's hard. It's definitely like a adjustment period.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm yawning so much. Oh my god, I took my Lexapro at like 8 o'clock this morning, so I've been incrementally moving it up. You know, from going to taking it at 10:30 at night. So I think that's kind of what it's hitting me. Well, because I'm thinking too is like I've been sleeping better. Like I woke up at
good.
7. I woke up at 7:30 this morning. My alarm usually goes off at 8:30. So I was like, okay, I'll just like kind of like
Not
hang
4
out
in the morning.
Not 4 in the morning. You know what it was? So one of my friends was like, have you looked up like the spiritual things of like waking up at that time and stuff? And you know what I was laughing at? If you wake up between, I think it was like between 3 and 5, it means that your lungs are trying to tell you something. Like, that's the organ that time relates to. And I'm like, bro, my lungs have been trying to tell me shit my entire life. Like, that's the last fucking organ that needs to talk to me.
Oh my god.
So I thought that was really funny. But yeah, I've been sleeping a lot better. I've been able to like restfully sleep and trying to go to bed at like a reasonable hour. And that's why I think like even audiobooks have been so fucking awesome, because I will just like lay in bed. I set the sleep timer on Libby for 25 minutes.
Yep.
And I just lay there and I shut my eyes.
And I always fall asleep before that shit ends.
Oh yeah, because I like make a
where
mental note of like when, well, like I make a mental note of like the time frame I put my phone down. Like, okay, if I set that timer at like 4 hours into the book, I'm like, I'll just like listen to this around 4 hours again, because that's probably gonna be what I remember hearing. And like this book that I'm reading now, it's called Lapvona by Atessa Majve, and if you don't know any of like Atessa Majve's work, she does write a lot of like weird, like sort of like gross things. Like she mostly focuses on like kind of like the disgusting side of humanity, like, and like the imperfections of people. And she actually wrote this book beginning in lockdown during quarantine, because she was like, oh, it's like fascinating to me how somebody like Donald Trump, how somebody like all these like higher ups get to choose like what us like peasants have to follow and the rules that we have to listen to, like kind of just like this dynamic of like society and like, you know, government. So it's like the setting of the book is like this medieval like fiefdom, what it's called. So it's like this village that there's like sheep herders, there's farmers, there's all these people, then but like the mayor of the village, like the lord, he like lives in such like lavishness, while like the town is dealing with a plague. They're dealing with like famine and all of these like natural causes, and there's this like witch that lives in the woods, and it's pretty good so far. It is like gross, like there's some gross stuff, but like I think that it's just been such like a dynamic book so far that I'm like really enjoying kind of like almost like going to this village like before bed, you know, like,
oh yeah.
And I did finish A Court of Thorns and Roses, the first book, so I did start to listen to the second one, and that's another one where like it kind of takes you to a different place. It takes you to a fantasy realm. So I'm really enjoying like kind of like listening to both books in tandem, because they are like so different from one another. But yeah, I just like audiobooks have really been so like pleasant for me so far. Like I'm such an audiobook gal. I can't I'm not a physical book girl. I love listening to an audiobook while I like make bracelets or like while I'm like brushing my teeth. Like it's kind of have replaced, I guess, because like in a way, finishing a book like replaces like the serotonin that like getting a notification on social media would give me. So like it makes me not want to really go on my phone for like Instagram or things like that, because like I'd rather like finish that audiobook. I'd rather have that gratification of like completing a whole like 15-hour book rather than like having like Instagram likes.
Yes. Yeah. No, I feel that. I had fallen out of physical books for a minute there because I think I read so many that I then was like, okay, now I'm burnt out. But there's something about school and required reading that makes me want to read my fun books. And the book I'm reading right now, I believe it's called Hot Season, and it's actually my friend, like a friend of my friend, wrote it, and it's like college age, like they're like active. They go to a school where there's like a lot of activism and like the stuff about a pipeline and all this stuff. And I'm very into it because it's like, I don't know, there's a lot of like pop culture media type stuff these days that's like very much written from the perspective of people who see how terrible the world is and do absolutely nothing about it and want to feel better about themselves. And instead, this is totally written from the perspective of somebody who clearly knows stuff about community organizing. And so it's just like not cringy, which is nice, because I hate when people like write books or songs that are like, I'm so powerless, and I'm like, you're literally a millionaire, go fuck yourself. Like, no, you're not.
But like, I know what you mean too. Or just like also like not romanticizing like the like, oh, we met at a protest and now we're in love. It's like, you know,
I think I'd take it. But only if it's not cringe.
But only if, I was gonna say, only if it's like has some sort of like seriousness to it and it's not cringe. But yeah, no, I get that. I'm glad you're enjoying your book. Glad that we both have like fun books to enjoy right now. It's been very good. It's the reading season, you know? Sleepy Girl Rot reader season.
I don't know. We said that if you're rotting, you're not reading.
Did we say that?
I think we did. We said we're not reading our books. We're scrolling on Instagram Reels.
True. Okay, but here's the thing. Instagram Reels have not been hitting for me lately because they are all like gym rat stuff, because I will save workout videos. So like if I save a workout video, because it's like, oh, easy dumbbell workouts to do at the gym, and I'm like, okay, I'll save this and I'll look at it later. Well, now my entire thing is like bodybuilding, and I'm like, I ain't trying to, I'm like, all right, I want to get ripped, but I'm not looking to like look like these men that do these shows, you know? So I'm like, Instagram Reels like don't hit for me, but like my girl is always going to be YouTube Shorts. I'm always going to eat a buffet of YouTube Shorts because it's like dentistry.
Instagram Reels for lunch yesterday. I took my lunch break and I watched Instagram Reels for 35 minutes before I thought maybe I should make food.
Holy shit. No, like I mean, I guess because it's like, you know, whatever's tailored to you. But yeah, YouTube Shorts gets, because it's like some girl that has her life together and she's like, my morning routine before work. She gets up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. She'll make like a good breakfast for herself. She goes to the gym, comes home, takes a shower, does a full makeup routine, and then sits there and to start work at like 9 o'clock. And I'm like, girl, the time management, the executive function, like you are slaying harder than like anybody right now. I'm envious of this. Like I roll out of bed and I give myself like 2 hours to get ready, and I use up every second, and I have no idea where it even goes. Because by the end of those 2 hours, I'm like half ready. I'm like half done.
No, I deleted Instagram Reels again because, Instagram, I wish
I wish you could turn off the Reels.
Yeah, but, I had to delete it again because I was like, again, when my depression's bad, like I know that I'm gonna keep wanting to do absolutely mindless stuff, and it's like, what if you like did your homework?
What if you did something productive? Also, what I've been doing this week is just like continuously applying for jobs and things of that nature. I mean, so what's new is that like I didn't even know that this was a thing. It's like they call it like a one-way interview, where you record yourself answering the questions that they send you, and you send that to the company, and they essentially, you know, interview people that way, which is fascinating to me because I didn't know that that was a thing. It's also, this is a job I applied to on Indeed. And Indeed is like very dynamic when it comes to their job applications and stuff, because you apply for a job and then you get an email from that exact job that's like, thank you for your application, whatever. And then Indeed will send you like testing, like assessments that's like, oh, this job that you're interested in like is, you know, digital marketing and stuff. So like they want you to take a digital marketing assessment, and you take the assessment. It's like 20 minutes long. It's like multiple choice questions and stuff. And you know, then the next step from there is like to do like a one-way interview, and it's all like,
oh god, the delivery driver is stuck in our driveway. His tires are spinning.
Oh god.
Oh my god. Oh fucking Christ.
I hear that.
Plot twist, he hits my room. The stress and anxiety I'm feeling on behalf of this person right now. Oh my god.
God, I hear his tires.
I just hate that his front wheels are pointed towards my bedroom right now. Okay, now he's turning them back the other way. That would be great.
What delivery driver is it?
It's no plate. I mean, not no plate.
No stickers?
Yeah, it's just a white van. Why the fuck are people having to work in this shit?
It's also a Saturday.
We cleared our front walkway, but, you know, what are we gonna do? Plow our whole fucking driveway? No. Because we're not going anywhere. The mailman made it fine. This guy doesn't have chains.
Especially for a delivery driver, you would think that they would have chains.
And there's like nothing I mean, I'm fucking disabled. My dad's not home. I do feel awkward that I'm at the fucking front of the house with my window open. Or not window open, but
is he making any progress?
I don't know. His door's open. I think he's trying to dig. I don't know if he has like a shovel or anything.
Is your mom home?
She's in bed. Oh, he's back in the car. I feel so bad. It's just like that I can't do anything. Oh.
Right.
He backed up. Now he's going forward. Oh my god. Oh, he keeps spinning. He can't. Oh, he's going. He's going. He's going. He's going.
Oh my god.
I actually think, well, I think the problem might have been, so my dad, when he also shoveled straight out from the walkway all the way across the driveway. So I think his back tires were stopped in the part that was clear. So it's like he couldn't get over the hump, like the back tires couldn't get over the hump of the ice and snow to keep going, versus if he had just stopped on the snow, he probably would have gone.
No, he was like, there's like a little divot.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he was stuck in the divot. Wow, that was... Whew, all that for my fucking Old Navy order. I'm going to hell. It's not my fault. I don't want these people to work in these conditions. Oh my god. Whew. Anyway, you were talking about the sophistication of applications.
Yeah, so on Indeed, you know, they send you these assessments to apply for it, then or like to fill out. You fill the assessment, and then you, like the one job, it was like, oh, to do a one-way interview, and I did that, and then I guess I'm just like waiting to hear back, like whether or not, you know, what my follow-up is. There was 2 jobs I applied for on LinkedIn that I heard back from, and I got denied, which is fine. At least I heard back. And yeah, I mean, I love buffing up my LinkedIn. I love like applying for jobs. I love just looking at jobs. I love just like everything. I made a Rover account for dog sitting, so that's getting renewed. That's getting reviewed because they've run like a background check on you and everything to make sure you're like a normal, insane person. So yeah, I mean, otherwise, you know, I'm kind of like on the fence of like, if I don't have a job by mid-February, then I'm just going to apply for somewhere around here and like work in person essentially, at like a retail store or something, because like I don't really like to go this long without a job. I don't want to blow through my savings either, Because, like, if I'm only really, like, looking for jobs to apply for and work until August, then I just would rather be working somewhere. I can always apply for other shit, like, as I'm working at other jobs.
Exactly.
You know? But, like, I just think that I just want to work. Like, I just want to be able to have, like, some consistent flow of income.
And you could probably, honestly, at so many places I feel like are hiring right now that I feel like you could even be somewhat picky about, like, what type of retail. Like, you don't have to pick the bottom of the how close is your nearest Costco? They pay good.
I'm pretty close to Costco. There's one in my town.
You should really think about Costco.
I wonder what department I could work in. Because I can't really, I want to sit. Okay, that's another thing. Because, again, we talked about this with a bunch of jobs. I hate that, like, a lot of places don't let cashiers sit down.
I think that's absurd. The fact that cashier jobs aren't accessible, I don't understand why.
I don't get it.
All they would need to do is literally make one accessible aisle and suddenly a disabled, checkout stand and suddenly a disabled person could work. The fact that, I mean, this is very relevant. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about, like, money and financial stuff, but I say as if we're not 40 minutes into recording, but listen, girls are gonna talk.
Also, I'm probably gonna edit the entire thing about the driveway and the man in the driveway stuff.
I think it's funny. I think it's entertaining. I think it's suspenseful. We'll see. Anyway, but yeah, I think, this is very relevant to today's topic of money and financial stuff, just in terms of the lack of options for disabled people to even build the experience necessary for the jobs that are accessible to us. I think we have talked about this in our work episode before, but it's just, like, the fact that, like, as a disabled person, for the most part, you can't just go out and get a job because, like, entry-level jobs are manual labor and they don't let you sit down and all this stuff.
Well, right, because I'm not going to be able to stock shelves. Like, I'm not going to be able to lift boxes. And, like, I did that when I worked in a retail job and it wore me the fuck out. And, like, I know that nowadays I still can't really do that work anymore. So I don't, like, want to do that. But that's, like, what a lot of places do. Like, you can't just be a cashier. You're a cashier and you're stocking shelves. You're a cashier and you're running back and forth to get people shit. Like, I don't know. I think that, like, a lot of jobs like that, it's, like, that one job is also 3 other jobs. And it's, like, it feels... And that's why, like, I'm going to be picky because, like, it has to be worth it for me. And I also have to, like, fucking feel okay doing it. Because then I run into the same issues of, like, oh, if I don't feel well, then I'm not going to go to work that day, because if I go to work, then I'm going to be doing all this, like, heavy lifting and shit that I can't do.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why, like, remote jobs and working from home stuff would be so ideal, but also, like, if I'm not finding that, and I'm also not, like, you know, I want to make sure I'm getting, like, compensated enough, period. So, like, if I'm not finding that stuff, it's like I got to kind of figure out where else... You know, what places would be better off hiring me, and it's most likely stuff that's in person, and especially if I know someone that works there, or, like, if I've been somewhere enough and I feel like they know me, like, I'd rather do that than kind of just, like, keep waiting around to find jobs.
Yeah. I feel like there might be some remote, like, customer service type stuff, which would be, like... you know, the bane of existence, but I have friends who I think have done, like, as long as you have customer service experience, which you do, like, they've, you know, taken, like, bank jobs and stuff like that, where it's, like, you know.
And that's, like, what I've been looking at, too.
Level.
Like, I've been applying for stuff like that. That's, like, the job I had the one-way interview for. So I'm hoping that I at least hear back from that. Because, like, doing the math and stuff, like, and I honestly think that even with a job like that, I'd kind of try to negotiate a little bit of a higher, like, hourly pay because of how many years I've had it with customer service. But also the thing is, too, a lot of those jobs are contract jobs.
Ugh.
And it's because, like, this one's in particular, it's contract. You get paid an hourly wage for a few weeks. And then after that, you have a meeting and you negotiate, like a commission rate.
That's
which I'm
bullshit.
like, oh, I hate that, because now it's not consistent. Now it's not consistent income. It's like if you have X amount of clients one week and X the next week, then it's different payments. But
I hate that.
Also, if you like the show, be sure to follow and rate it on whatever platform you're streaming this on too, to help us reach some more people, because we're on every platform imaginable, really.
And if we're not, listening. Just tell us and
we'll get on.
Put it out there.
But rating and everything like that is so helpful for us, and we really appreciate it. So thank you guys. Rate it 5 stars, of course. Don't go on there and rate us. You go on and you're like, yeah, I'll give you guys a rating, and you give us 3 stars.
1 star.
And you're like, it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, don't rate it if you hate it. Good slogan.
Good.
Tote bag.
I was gonna say. Oh my god, we have a lot of tote bag ideas.
If he listens, it's his fault.
If he listens, it's his fault. Rock Girl season. Tote bag ideas are amazing. Anyway,
which is so relevant because we're talking about merch, and we literally. So the original, we've had a lot of different financial topics that we've wanted to talk about, but one of them is this concept of being part of the monetization generation, where we feel like hobbies are things that we can do, and so then it's as disabled people, hobbies podcasting, crafting, all this stuff. It's these are things that we are capable of doing. They're on our own time and, schedule and all of that. So it's then it feels like there's pressure to monetize them, especially since we struggle to do traditional work. But then it's turning your hobby into a job is a lot of work. But it's also just even generally looking around at our generation, both disabled and not, it's people have a job and then they're well, let me also be a content creator talking about my job and then make money doing it. It's really just fascinating, or it's just, I don't know. It's
yeah, no, because I saw something today that was Gen Zers have, most people that consider themselves Gen Z have 2 jobs. They have a consistent job, a full-time job, and they also have a side hustle. And
yeah.
It's people are oh, why are they work so much? And it's well, because things are a lot more expensive in our 20s right now than it was when our parents were in our 20s. So a lot of Gen Zers have multiple jobs because the fact that you can't really make a full-time income doing something else. And not to say that other people can't, millennials and stuff, but I think with Gen Z it's particularly harder. It's most of us started working in the pandemic age, where a lot of people were working from home, or there's a lot of stipulations on jobs. So now it's you're okay, well, I also I need to make money, and it seems doing stuff in person, is we're capable of it, but also doing stuff online, you said, content creation, or any remote work, really, it can also be something you could do from home in your spare time. It's you have to utilize all of your time to break even somehow, financially too.
Yeah, it just feels I think too, because it's with stuff like podcasts and content creation, you're it's so easy for it to start out as a hobby and then be but it is a hobby that's a lot of work. I want to be getting compensated, and it's I do think too, it's with stuff you're putting out into the world, you are providing a service in that way if you're putting it out for free. But it's at the same time, it just sucks that we're even in a position where it feels everything needs to make money, just because, you said, it's fucking expensive to live, and that's, I just...
anything is a job.
It's anything that could potentially make money, it's you feel pressure to go after it because...
Yeah, you want to make it worth your time. Even I felt that, so early on without even really knowing it. Because in my early 20s, I'm 26 now. But I started, Instagram accounts where I talk about skincare. I talk about plants. I talk about, now I have one with a business. All this stuff. And I remember, following influencers and felt very pressured to be I need to be posting all the time so this way I can gain followers and gain attention from different brands, and also make money off this, get sent free products. And then it's okay, well then you lose the fun, because now you're not posting skincare reviews of stuff that you like. It's you're posting shit that you want the attention from. even with the plant Instagram account that I had, like, I'd be posting stuff, and the one day, like, the Miracle Grow Instagram account followed me, and I was like, oh my god, I should ask them for stuff. And it's like, no, like, they're like, you're just creating this shit with the plants, and you're like to post because that's just what you like to do. Like, not everything needs to be monetized, and everything needs to be like, you don't have to like sell out, to like.
I was gonna say, I think the worst part about the way that content creation is monetized is all it is advertising.
Yeah.
I'm like, when you think of it that way, it just doesn't hit the same. And I don't judge anyone who does it, because there's, all the podcasts and YouTube shows and all of that I watched that, that's literally how they have to make money so they can do this and I can enjoy it. And I respect that. But yeah, I mean, I just, yeah.
And even just like the because it's falls under like the entertainment category, like the entertainment industry, a lot of this stuff with like content creation, because like, some of it seen as like an art and stuff like that. And I feel like it's just something where like, it's the same thing of like people that are like, oh, like actors and all these people that work in movies like want to get paid more money. Like, what do they even do? And it's like, well, you're the one watching a movie every night before you go to bed. Like, it's like an industry where people aren't really paid a lot for their time, and we're all really seeing that, where, like, we all just want to be paid for our time, and like we all just kind of want to make a living doing off something that we love, especially if people go from working a full-time job to then doing stuff like content creation full-time,
where you're making more money than you ever did. But it's also like, okay, what happens when that's not the next thing anymore, But also there's so much pressure, because it's like, when I went viral on if you go from having 100 followers on TikTok to suddenly you have tens of thousands, like the way that you can build an online audience nowadays and how many people can be content, like it seems limitless in terms of how many people can be content creators. And it's like that pressure, if you do have a viral moment, if you do start to gain a following, it's like, well, I should pursue this. And it's like, ugh, that's not what I want. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I even get that too, because like with having a small business and posting on Instagram and stuff, I feel this immense pressure to be a content creator, to not only sell my products, but to sell myself. So people buy stuff from me.
Yeah.
Because the amount of like small businesses that are like, yeah, like you can't just get away with just posting your craft now. You need to post yourself. And I'm like, okay, well, what if I don't want to do that? Like, what if I don't want to record myself every second of the day to post on Instagram for people? Like, I just want to be able to make art.
Having to be an influencer for your own business, like to advertise your own business.
And like, I hate it, because there's some times where I just don't, like, it makes me not want to post, which, because I'm not posting, my, like, followers go down, or my reach goes down, and then it's, like, it's going to take me months to build that back up to a point where it's, like, sustainable again, but it's also, like, a nightmare, because I don't want to be posting every second of the day. I don't want to feel, like, this immense pressure to be posting all the time.
No, exactly, and, I mean, I think that's... I don't know, I just think, like, it, like we were talking about earlier with just, like, I don't know how hard it is to get jobs that are accessible to us, that will support us, like, support a living, that type of stuff, like, but yeah, and I think there's kind of, we're in this time where it is so expensive to live. And at the same time, like, I don't know how you feel about this, but, like, for me, like, I have really no concept of, like when I graduate, like, what salary level I should be looking at that will actually support me in moving out and stuff. Because I have no concept, like, because money is such, like, a thing people don't talk about, like, personal finances and stuff, like, they're not just throwing numbers around with each other transparently. I have no idea, like, my friends who, like, have apartments, I'm like, how much do you pay for rent? How much money do you make per month? Like, these are the questions I literally want to know. Like, what are your expenses? Because, it's like, there's always the, like, I feel like the occasional, like, personal finance lesson that would come up in fucking math class or whatever that's like, you should never be paying more than a third of your income in rent. And I'm like, okay, but isn't everyone now? Like, or are they, like, I'm just like, I don't know what to look for in that regard, both from the salary perspective and from, like, the how much rent can I afford, like, actually afford. Because when you go to a rent calculator, it's like, this is how much is safe, this is your max. And I'm like, yeah, but what are people actually paying? Like,
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to be idealistic about it, but I just, like, I have no frame of reference for how much money the average adult makes and spends, because I just don't have, like, transparent examples around me. Because it's like, my parents are a horrible example, because it's like, they have a house and a mortgage. It's like, that's not...
And they're not the same age as you.
No, like, it's not something that makes sense for comparison. It's like, it just... So I just have no frame of reference, and I'm just like, okay, well, I need to, like, know what, salary level to be looking for, to be asking for, when I graduate, so that way I know, like, how much, like, I'm gonna need to move out. And plus, being disabled is more expensive, and so it's like, I have to factor that in too. And so it's, yeah.
No, I mean, you're 100% right, because, like, I have friends that have full-time jobs that are no longer in, like, the entry-level position of their careers. They are very, like, mid to senior level, honestly. And when they say how much money they get a year, it blows me away. And then I'm like, okay, realistically, it's like $52,000 a year. Like, that's not, like, but that's not a lot of money. But, like, to me, somebody
to us, it's so much money.
who has, like, who's only worked, like, minimum wage, part-time jobs and things like that.
Yep.
Like, that's so much money to me. You're telling me you get paid $5,000 a month? What? And it's
right.
like, in New Jersey, I feel like the median rent for apartments is around $2,000 a month. To me, that seems like a lot of money, but most people are getting paid, like, more than double that a month. So I'm like, oh, well, that's comfortable. You're fine. But, like, that's not including, like, utilities most of the time. If you have to pay for a parking spot, that's not including, like, groceries. I mean, obviously, we know a huge chunk of people's monthly payments are student loans. Some people, the minimum is $500 a month, if not more. And other factors of, like, car insurance, gas, like, travel money, anything to go anywhere. Like, God forbid, you have to buy a new pair of shoes. You have to buy a new jacket. Yeah, there's internet you pay for. Wanting money to put aside for savings. Like, right now, as someone that's, like, kind of primarily living off their savings in a way, it's almost, like, makes me anxious to spend any of that money, because I'm like, it took me a while to build this cushion, that I'm like, if I start spending it, how much longer will it take me to build this again? Mm-hmm. And, like, because of the same reason of, like, not having, like, full-time work where I'm like, I get paid a consistent amount of money every couple weeks. So I'm like, okay, like, this money from this paycheck can go into my savings and things like that. It's almost like I just don't really know how to, like, it's like, it makes it hard to budget. And I feel like I live in this living paycheck to paycheck, or, like, living in such, like, strict terms for myself. That's almost, like, causes me a lot of anxiety and stress, because I don't, like, money worries are such, like, a, like, not like a, I guess, like, I would say, like, a big thing, but it's because it's something that, like, it's something new to me. It's, like, something uncomfortable. Like, oh my God, like, you're telling me, like, if I have to put new tires on my car, it could be, like, hundreds of dollars. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, and it's, like, very nerve-wracking, and it's very anxious. Like, it causes me to be very anxious. And even, like, we've talked about this before, like, you and I, just, like, the concept of, like, credit cards, and both of us being very new to the credit card fields. Like, we both got credit cards, like, late last year. It's almost just like, oh my God, building credit, like, it's a lot easier than I thought it was, but also, like, we're very much, like, teaching ourselves as we go. And I feel like even most people got credit cards when they were, like, 18, 19 years old, when they first started college. So us being, like, in our mid-20s getting credit cards now, it's like, I feel so late to the game, because, like, my credit limit per month is, like, around $2,000.
Same.
But I know more of my friends, it's like, oh, mine's like 20 grand.
Yeah.
And it's because this is like their third credit card, or they've had a really good relationship with the bank that they're working with, so they know. Or again, like, you know, they make a lot more money than we do, so they can have like those high credit limits and everything. And my credit card is like, I just get 2% cash back on every purchase that I use on the card. I don't like gain points or anything. But, you know, that's another thing where I'm like, you know, because some people are like, oh, like credit points, you could be used towards like flights, you can use towards hotels, you can use towards a lot of travel. And I'm like, okay, am I wrong? Like, did I get the wrong credit card? Did I get something wrong to start with? And it's like, I just like get so like, I'm like, oh my God, like I just don't know where to go. Like, and it's hard to find like reliable information even too, or just information that like is easily attainable and understand, like you can understand. Because again, like not having consistent income or consistent work, it's like, all right, well I can't like I don't want a credit card that has a high interest rate every month, because I don't have the consistent income to be paying off this credit card that much every month to prevent me from getting hit with the interest rate.
Yeah, no, exactly. That is the problem, is financial literacy stuff online is either marketing
Right.
or it's tailored to able-bodied people who are working, and it's like, go get extra go do this, go do
Own
that.
a property,
Oh yeah, it just are
cars.
not in the same situation as us at all. I don't think we have much to worry about right now in terms of like, from what I understand, we just, stick with our, be consistent with our same credit card for a while. And then mine's a student card. And so when I graduate, it'll automatically turn into like just a normal one. And then, I don't know, I did recently switch to a credit union, and because I realized it's like I do have quite a bit of savings from being basically paid to go to school because I have so much financial aid and scholarships, and which thank God, because if I'm going to have to pay for 12 credits theoretically out of pocket because I've already been paid for the term, it's like, I'm like, oh shit, that's like going to be a good chunk of change for 12 credits. And so, but it's like, I was at KeyBank before. It was just normal, generic, same checking and savings account I've had since I was like 18. Like, just absolutely, you make no interest on your savings, absolutely nothing like that. And so I finally, decided, okay, I need to switch to a credit union, because why am I not, like, I have all this savings that is making no interest on it. It should absolutely be making interest. So now I'm going to be making like, I haven't been there a full month yet to know exactly how much I'm going to be getting per month off my savings, but it's like over $50. Like, it's the fact that I could have been doing this for so much. I'm like, damn, like the free money is gone. Like, devastating.
It's funny to think about that, because like I was thinking about like, even in the sense of like, oh, when I have like a job, investing into like, it's like I want, I'm like, oh, a credit union or like a Roth IRA, and like investing money into it, and like all like, trying to like put money aside, and not to even in the sense of being like, oh, so when my retirement fund's like really big, it's just more of like, I like to have something that like makes me feel like I have control of my future, especially financially. Because even like you said, like, I do have a bit of like money, good money in my savings too. So I'm like, oh, like, it'd be nice to like gain interest off that money that's sitting there, because I've had a bank account since 2012, because I've had it before, like that's like when I first started working. So it's like, you need a bank account to deposit your checks into. I'm kind of like, okay, like I should look up like what's the next step of doing this, like what's another thing to help me like gain interest on the money that's in my account. And also just like, I think it's just like, it's something to do with just like maturity and like adulting, like that it's very like, oh, look at me for like doing this, like look at me for being able to set myself up in this way.
Which I will say, there's a lot of people our age who, because when I've talked to my friends who are like double my age kind of thing, like they're like, I mean, the best financial advice is just make sure you know what's coming in and going out. And I'm like, are you telling me there's people? But I know there's people who don't pay attention and don't even think that far.
I open my bank account app like 3 times a day.
I just like, I've got my spreadsheets of tracking stuff and making sure I know how I'm spending my money and like trying to be thoughtful about it and stuff like that. But it's kind of like, okay, like I think, I can't have too high of hopes for being Gen Z, the cost of living, like everything. Like I can't have too high of hopes for what's financially possible, but I'm just kind of like, all things considered, I feel like I'm doing everything I should now. But, like you said, we had to teach ourselves these things, and we're still kind of learning as we go. And I don't know. It just all feels, it is, like adulting stuff. Like
Hashtag adulting. Hashtag stop buying your avocado toast. Hashtag that $5 coffee a week is causing you to be in debt.
Yes, 100%. Oh my God. But I want to talk more about this concept of crip tax, which on social media it's often used as literally like hashtag crip tax. And it's people sharing things that basically are things that like disabled people have to pay for that like non-disabled people wouldn't in the same way. Do you want to share some examples of things?
So, one of the more recent crip taxes that I've been paying is like when I would get like my frequent styes and having to buy new makeup to replace, what I had to throw out. Because like, when you get a stye, if I like, the mascara I'm wearing right now, if I were to get a stye tomorrow, I would throw out this mascara because it has touched like a possibly infected like follicle on my eyelash, so I had to throw it out. And that was something where like I'm not gonna buy mascaras until like this is gone, because I'm buying these like 50, even the drugstore mascaras like are like $15.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, if I buy mascara, use it, 2 days later I get a stye. All right, well now I gotta throw out that mascara because it's tainted now. And it's the same thing with any eye makeup, or having to like routinely clean my makeup brushes because of that reason, getting styes. And I know it doesn't sound like a big deal to most people, but like, dude, imagine like buying a $25 like, nice Marc Jacobs Sephora mascara that you treated yourself to and having to throw that away before it's even like close to expiring. That sucks.
And also you were getting styes a lot.
All the fucking time. I'm not even kidding. I would get a stye like every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's not like a little stye. It would make my eyelids swollen.
Yeah.
And it was like disgusting. And it was just like very irritating. So what I kind of noticed that would get rid of my styes, or at least like not get rid of them, but I'm not getting them as frequently anymore, is because I stopped curling my eyelashes. I felt like curling my eyelashes for some reason was causing me to open up to get styes. I wonder if it was causing like little like micro tears in my skin, and that was causing me to get like infections. But ever since I stopped curling my eyelashes, I haven't gotten a stye. So interesting. But another thing, which is, this is obviously the shit that I deal with from having CF, is like having to replace nebulizers when they break, or like when the filters inside them go bad. Like recently, I was trying to take the tube that connects my neb cup to my nebulizer. It's just like a long plastic tube. I was trying to take that tube off, and when I took it off, it snapped the little piece that connects the tube to the nebulizer. So I had to buy a new nebulizer. And like, ugh. When I was a kid, nebulizers were not something that was easy to come by. You can go to drugstores now and buy one for like $30-$40. But when I was a kid, a nebulizer you had to buy online, and it was at least $100. Jesus. So like, my parents wanting me to, when I was a kid, like, if I go somewhere and I leave my nebulizer at on vacation or something, it's like, well, now I can't get one. You have to pay for a new one. They're very expensive. So when my nebulizer snapped, I was able to go to the drugstore to pick one up, but it was like, now that's $30 that I had to spend that I really didn't need to. I have to replace my nebulizer cups every 6 months, and the cups can be around like $10 per cup. So it's like the cup consists of, the cup itself and these like different attachments to help the medication turn from like liquid to, vapor. But like sometimes if I lose like the mouthpiece or if I throw it out on accident, well, now that's cup's useless no matter how long I've had it for, so I have to buy a new one. And a lot of these places too is like you have to submit like a prescription to buy the nebulizer cup. So like I can't just, I'm sure I could go on Amazon and buy a bunch, but I also want to make sure they're like medical grade and that they're not like a single use one. So like when I went to Disney in May, I left like 2 pieces of like 2 separate nebulizer cups in my hotel room on accident. So I had to buy new cups because of that. And I also have, the sterilizing machine I use to clean my neb cups with is called a Wabi. It's actually a baby bottle sterilizer.
Oh, okay.
So at least that's something where like, if I have to buy a new one, I can buy something like that from Target, Walmart, XYZ. But they're still expensive machines. The one that I have is at almost $100, $200. But what was kind of nice is the company I got it from, the Wabi company, did send me like a discount code because of having a disability and being able to use it for nebulizer cups. They sent me like $80 off, which I'm like, okay, thanks. Like you didn't have to do that. But I appreciate it a lot. So I saw that machine, but like that's something else where I'm kind of just like, one day, like I use this almost every single day for the past couple years. I wouldn't be surprised if it shits out on me, between now
like
and
you
then.
said, they're baby bottle cleaners. Your baby, you're using it longer than a baby would be on bottles.
Exactly, yeah. Having to buy certain Tupperware that I only clean my neb cups in. Because after I do like my medication, after I do my inhaled medication in the morning, I take the cups apart and then I soak them in hot soapy water for like 20 minutes, to kind of help like clean them out. And then I put them in the sterilizer. So I'm like, I have to buy separate Tupperware for that, which like the one day my dad used the Tupperware to store pasta in.
Oh my God.
I was so mad. I was like, oh my God, this is my vomit bowl that nobody else should be touching, I'm going to bring that up every episode now. I have to worm the vomit bowl into some conversation.
Make a bingo card and have the vomit bowl as the free space.
So, I use certain Tupperware only for my neb cups and also like certain towels and things like that. Also just the time it takes to clean everything and making sure that it's all clean. And there's also like specialty medication cups that I have that are for like certain antibiotics that you have to use like 70% like alcohol to clean them with, or they're also those med cups I get sent when I order the medication through like my home care pharmacy. They send me a new cup to go with it, but otherwise that cup itself is like $45 if I have to. So if I have to buy a new one of them, if I again throw a piece out, it breaks, and I have to buy a new one, now that's almost $50. That's like right out the window. And the machine, because like, I have a nebulizer machine that I use for all my inhaled medications, but there's inhaled antibiotics that need a different machine. So the different machine is like, I haven't had to buy a new one in a very long time, so I can't remember like what part, if all of it is covered by insurance or if it's not. Some of them are when it's like certain medications, but this one machine that I have is $800. So if I have to buy a new machine... Ugh. Impossible. And I also had this one machine that's called an IPV machine, which is like another nebulizer machine, but it does like percussion air to help like push air into your lungs to help break up mucus in your lungs. That's kind of what the percussion does. This machine I used for I think my entire like middle school and high school years. The one day it stopped working, and also don't even get me started, the nebulizer cups for that machine were like fucking metal. They were crazy. One cup broke, and because it broke, I literally couldn't use the machine anymore because the tubing on it was so specific that the company stopped making it, which meant that the machine itself, this $1,000 machine, was practically useless. All because of like just one day dropping something on the ground. And the fact that like that seems to be, which this is a whole other thing, it seems to be a very common issue with like any of the breathing treatment industry, is that because there's so many new machines and so many new methods and medications, they're constantly cycling out like new stuff, old stuff, new ideas, defunct ideas. Like, there's so many things that they're doing that you can be using this machine every day for 5 years. Well, now you want to get the same machine again because something breaks. You cannot find it. You cannot find anybody to service it, and you're completely done. So now it's like you have to buy a different machine, or you got to figure out something else. And a lot of the times, like, insurance won't cover new machines because they're like, well, you have that old one, don't you? It's like, okay, well, the old one doesn't work. We'll get it to work. And that's it. Like, now you're like fighting with people on the phone because of this. And it's absolutely crazy because it's something where, like, I'm like, dude, nobody talks about this. There's no places to find any information about this stuff. And these companies that you call to talk to are, like, less than helpful. So you're not even able to find an answer from anybody. And you're kind of just, like, stuck with this, like, broken shit now.
Well, and I think, too, like, you made a good point earlier when you were talking about, like, the cleaning and all of that is just, like, the saying is time is money. It's like being disabled or chronically ill takes so much more time out of your everyday life just to do anything or the extra things you have to do. And so that's like a thing, or like, missing work for doctor's appointments or shit like that. Like it adds up, or just the time and energy aspect. That's like a whole nother, like, don't even get me started. But just to rattle off some other things that cost money that other people probably don't have to think about. Replacing and repairing mobility aids. My new scooter was $2,000. Whenever I have to get it serviced, like when I got the lift in the van, I believe that was $6,500. At the time I was on SSI, that was more than I make in a year on SSI. When I got pedal extensions to be able to drive, they were $300. When you get pedal extensions, they are specific to the pedals of the type of car you have. And I hadn't even thought about this before, but I saw another person with dwarfism posting about it. How do you test drive a fucking car if you don't have the pedal extensions for it? You simply, I don't know, I guess you don't. You just sit in it and go, well, I hope this will work. Like, I was like, holy shit, I had never even thought about that because, like, the car I drive is just the one we already had. Right. And so, like, it's not like I was choosing.
And, like, God forbid you need to get a rental car.
Oh, yeah, I literally don't consider it. I hate the concept of, like, road trips. I have no choice to alternate driving. Like, I signed up on the carpool spreadsheet for work, which I don't think anyone lives in my area, so I probably won't be carpooling anyway, but it's like, I'm like, well, no, I have to drive because it's such a pain in the ass to take the pedal extensions on and off. Like, I have to be the one driving, which is my time, energy, right. And stuff. The tips on my crutches wear out, and I probably don't replace them as often as I should. I've been noticing lately that the Velcro on my leg braces are wearing out, which means I'm probably going to have to get set up with an orthotics provider for the first time since, like, being aged out of Shriners where I could get it done for free. And although I am hoping that if I do connect with a new company that they can maybe help me figure out new shoes too, because I'm sure they're used to dealing with people needing new shoes. My shoes are getting worn out and I cannot find a single pair that fit. So
what happened with the most recent brand that you tried?
They didn't work. They weren't deep enough.
Oh, okay.
I need wide, deep shoes that are kid size. It doesn't exist. All these adaptive shoe companies exist now, and they're still not adaptive enough for my feet. And so that could end up being me shelling out a bunch of money. Because that's the thing, like with mobility aids, with stuff, I don't know about orthotics, again, outside of a Shriner setting where I was getting it all for free no matter what, but I don't know if they take insurance, because, like, scooter, no insurance, like, the van lift, no insurance, like, they don't take insurance towards those things, so, yeah. Some other things. Since I can't reach to tie my shoes, I had to get elastic shoelaces. When my mom broke her leg and could no longer like help in the kitchen, I bought a separate microwave and toaster and stuff because she would just always microwave or toast things for me because I couldn't reach them, which it did make things more accessible to me. But we already had a microwave and toaster.
Yeah.
I just couldn't reach them, or like my separate counter that they're on and stuff. Being short, I have a million stools everywhere. Something that you and I have been talking about more recently, and I think we might have mentioned last episode, or maybe it was just when we're always talking about snacks, but, you know, pre-prepped food.
Yeah.
Because it's like the time and energy and sometimes physical strength and things needed to like prepare like produce or things like that. Like, sometimes you just can't do it, and it costs more money.
Yeah, to buy like the pre-cut apples or pre-sliced this, or you know, meals that you can put in the microwave and stuff like that. Like it adds up. It's so it's such a difficult, like it's hard to navigate like cooking for yourself in this, like, you know, and still trying to like adhere to like your own accessibility.
Exactly. And I know for you, you know, you've talked about it's like, you know, you literally have nutritional needs related to your chronic illness.
Right.
You need nutrient dense food, which usually is more expensive.
And like I am very thankful that like there's the one company that I order my like what do they call this? Like my enzymes from, for like that I eat food with, you know, my 6 pills I take every meal. There's a lot of like nutritional support programs that they provide. So like they send me monthly supplements, like they send me monthly like vitamins to take, monthly probiotics, and monthly like protein shakes or like protein dense like snacks, like protein bars.
Nice.
So the protein shakes is something that like I'm so thankful for, because they're not meal replacement shakes, but they're something that will hold me over in between now and then, that like are made with like, you know, grass-fed milk or like fruits and vegetables, and they're like healthy, and it's like good companies. They're like organic, like, you know, organic ingredients that they use in these protein shakes. So I'm very thankful for that. But also that's something where like when I talk to one of the representatives, they're like, oh, you only get that stuff if you're like on certain health insurance plans. Otherwise, like you can't get it if you're on Medicaid, because you're already getting help from the government. I'm like, okay, well, that kind of sucks, because, like, just because you're getting help from the government doesn't mean you have enough money to buy these, like, $20, like, vitamins every month. Or even just be able to reach your nutritional, like, needs. And, like, be somebody that has CF, it's like, I have to eat so much fucking food to feel full. So, like, not only am I making one sandwich to take with me to work, I'm making 2 sandwiches half the time. Or I'm eating more food, which, like, you know, oh, if you buy like a box of these 4 burritos and you eat 2 a day, well, that box is gone by tomorrow. Like,
yeah,
it's a lot harder to kind of like figure out. And then like at some points I'm like not eating enough because I almost just get tired of being hungry. That I'm like, I'll make like one of my sandwiches or whatever, and then I'm like, holy shit, like I'm starving still. I'm almost like tired of eating at this point because I don't want to be eating all the food that I just bought. A lot of that food that I'm even talking about that is more nutrient dense is a lot more expensive. Like, being able to buy food that has high protein or high fat content. Like, I was talking about, like, the Oatly oat milk last week. A carton of Oatly oat milk is, like, fucking $7 half the time. And I go through that in less than a week. Like, that's crazy. And, like, even, like, the yogurts. Like, thankfully, like, a cup of yogurt, like, if you buy, like, a Chobani yogurt, it's no more than, like, $2. But, like, if I eat, like, 2 of those a day, like, you know, and there's only a 4-pack or a 6-pack, like, it's so nuts. And, like, that's almost another thing, too, with, like, bringing it back to, like, not knowing how much things, like, not knowing how much, like, adults make, is that, like, when I live on my own, I'm not going to have really any concrete idea of how much money I'm going to be spending per month on groceries if my voracious diet does not calm down. Like, I'm going to be spending more than half of my monthly income on just food alone to, like, satiate my, like, dietary needs.
And that's what pisses me off, that so many things are means tested. And I mean, I get it to some degree, and that there's never enough funding put towards helping meet people's basic needs. But I'm like, being disabled, being chronically ill is more expensive, and so even if you make enough money, it's like your cost of living is so much higher that it's like, if it's like, oh, well, these programs are only exist to help the poorest of the poor people, it's like, okay, I'm glad they're getting the help they need, but there needs to be wider, like, I just, the means testing bullshit. It's like, if you need help, you need help. I don't know. Something else I think about too is like, there are things that I wish I could just do myself. I would be happy to learn to do it myself, but I am not physically capable of changing my oil, of changing my windshield wipers, so I pay somebody else to fucking do it. And it pisses me off because I'm like, I would happily learn and do these things, or like car washes, which I only go like twice a year anyway. But
car washes are fun though. Sometimes car washes are a treat.
Still, I'm like, I could fucking wash the car myself, but I can't.
Something with, we've talked about this too, it's like, I know you said you literally want to get into sewing so you can tailor your own clothes.
So I don't have to pay somebody else to do it. You don't have to pay
somebody else to do it. Because like you said, what is it? Almost like $10 per article of clothing?
Yep. And it's like, imagine, versus just some scissors and thread. And, I already have a sewing machine. I already have the stuff I need. I just don't have the skill. But again, that would be time and energy. But it's like, I wouldn't be paying. It's so frustrating.
It's so much. And like, honestly, like, I even thought about this before when we were talking about like time management with your illnesses. When my like doctors are like, oh, you're sick right now, so your one inhaled antibiotic, you have to do it 3 times a day. It's like, that's like a fucking half hour for each treatment. So like, that's an hour and a half every day. That's not including cleaning the shit and making sure that it's ready for me to do the next day, because who else is doing this? If I have to do my medication in an hour and my stuff's not clean, it's not going to just miraculously get clean. I have to put it together. I have to do it.
I think about like when I go places, like when I go to work or whatever, or if I'm meeting a friend somewhere and, we're meeting there, so we drove separately kind of thing. It pisses me off so bad that, like, able-bodied people can just get in the car and drive. I have to fucking stand there, wait for the, robotic back door of the car to open, stand there and hold the button for my lift to come out, load my scooter, stand there and hold the button to load it back in, get my stool out of the back seat, put my crutch away, get in the car, pull my stool up into the car, readjust my seat because I have to slide it all the way back so I can fit the stool like across the steering wheel into the passenger seat. Meanwhile, at that point, my friends are like halfway home. Not literally, but it's like, I mean, it takes, if my scooter is like in the garage charging, like I can't just, if it's not already in the car, I'm having to like take all that extra time just to, because it's like, usually if my scooter's already in the car when I'm leaving for work or whatever, like, then my stool, I don't put it back away in the car because I'm parked in the garage, so I just have it ready to go. I can just get up and go. But it's like, anytime, and doing that shit in the fucking rain when other people can get out of the car and run to wherever they're going, and I can't. I just have to go, or like I'll be going full speed on my scooter, but I can't go faster than that. Like, it's just, oh my god, it's just so frustrating. And it's like, that's why it's like when I tell people how early I leave to get to stuff, I'm like, I have to factor in getting into the car to leave and getting out of the car when I get there, and then getting to wherever I'm going and being on time.
And that's how I feel with, like, for me, it's like almost like the getting ready before I leave my house because of doing my treatments in the morning and my medication and everything. And like, I know, like, oh yeah, I can put my medication together the night before and stuff. But even with doing that, like, it still takes me 10 minutes to put my treatments together and then to clean everything. I don't clean everything afterwards all the time, especially if I'm in a rush. But, like, I like to make sure they're soaking in their water so this way that it doesn't, like, the chemicals don't build up. But, like, I have to give myself 2 hours to get ready in the morning, and 45 minutes of that is literally sitting in my bed doing my treatments. Like, It's so different. And that's why people will be like, oh, what are you doing in 10 minutes? Don't ask me to hang out right away, okay? Like, if I don't have my plans for the day set up already, then, like, I can't be there because I just don't have the time. Or, like, I can't, I can't be somewhere in a half hour after waking up. It's impossible.
And I cannot believe we have not said the C word this whole episode. But as we have said before, capitalism is not set up for people with disabilities. It's set up to
Facts.
fucking eliminate us.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just think about how often, like, you're having to, like, when you were, like, working and stuff, even though you didn't work very often, you were, like, still occasionally, like, sorry, I have a doctor's appointment that's gonna wear me out, like, or I'm sick. Like it's, like, having to literally miss work because of your condition. Like,
Yeah, or also just, like, doctor's appointments that, like, doctors, I'd be like, oh, can you come in at 1 o'clock? Girl, yeah, this is your job, but what about my fucking job?
exactly.
Like, I can't pop into a doctor's appointment during fucking lunchtime. You think, oh, yeah, I wait a half hour in the office half the time before I even see anybody. Like, and I feel like that's just another thing, too, with, like, doctor's offices that are not open past 5 o'clock.
Oh, my God.
Like,
Yep.
you're eliminating, and that's why, like, you're literally eliminating the entire workforce by doing that. Like...
Yep, you're forcing us to take time off to go to the doctor and either use paid time off or, like,
or go on a Saturday
not.
morning when everybody else is there too.
And I just generally think, like, schedules and stuff, like, I just think it's like if you were able to make your own schedule, you'd be able to give yourself more time in the morning knowing you have your treatments and stuff instead of having to get up extra early or whatever.
Right.
Everything is fake and not real and
And disappointing.
facts. Well, you all know what time it is.
You know what time it is? It's Pod Don't Post. Cassie, hit me with yours.
Josh Hutcherson is my white boy of the month, knocking out Timothée Chalamet.
Knocking out Willy Wonka.
When I told Courtney that Timothée Chalamet might be my white boy of the month, she said, can we pick a different one?
Can we pick a different one?
And that's so valid, and so I'm so happy to say that somehow I went from her sending me Josh Hutcherson memes to the Josh Hutcherson celebrity crush. Like, what is that pipeline? I was not expecting to end up here, but now I'm like kicking my feet and giggling watching his interviews.
I love Josh Hutcherson. He is such a classic, like, he's very underrated.
I mean, when you said he's been our white boy of the month every month since we were 10, you're so right.
Bridget Terabithia, bitch.
Bridget Terabithia, fucking Zathura, are you kidding me?
The Hunger Games.
I've never seen it, but it's okay.
I don't know. I think I saw the first one.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Josh Hutcherson was in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
I almost kind of wanted to see it. Listen, I am very motivated by attractive people.
He's good in that one because he's, like, grimy and sad. Like, because he plays this, like, depressed kid that, like, he lives with his sister.
I'll eat it up.
His brother was kidnapped when he was a kid. Like, he's got, like, some good lore behind him. Yeah, no, he's a good one. And I love how, like, you know, the whole whistle meme of him, how he was just like, yeah, some kid just made a video.
He's like, I don't really care. I'm not very online.
He's like, I don't care. Like, I think that's amazing that he was just so like, yeah, this is what the internet likes this week. Okay. Like, he's like,
also,
I don't give a fuck.
When I texted you yesterday and I was like, he's 31. And you were like, Cassie, we're mid-20s. You act like he's like, I really, to me, 31 sounds like fucking ancient. And I'm like, no, I'm actually old now, and that's not that old.
Josh Hutcherson, when he first started acting, he was relatively young, like in Bridget Terabithia. I don't know if that's his, like, first, like, work, but I feel like at that time, like, it doesn't surprise me that he's, like, what, 5-6 years older than us? Because
he said he was like 12 when Bridget Terabithia was filmed.
Well, because, like, I mean, even Jennifer Lawrence, like, finding out that she's, like, 31, 32, like, surprised me, I guess, because I felt like she felt older to me. But I also know that, like, that's
she's
kind of
just a household name.
Right.
Especially compared to somebody like Josh Hutcherson, who I feel like flies under the radar. And I feel like before his movies that have come out, you know, in the past couple months, he was kind of chilling.
Yeah, he wasn't really doing too much, like, acting work. But, yeah, when you said he was 31, I was like, that's not even that old. So, like, it wasn't surprising me at all because, like, 31, you're still a baby.
I hear you. I see you.
Meanwhile, the one episode I said 40-year-old people. I said, and you're like, oh my god, my friends are 40. They're 40's not old. 40's not old, but 31 is.
Here's the thing. When I have a celebrity crush, I'm Googling their age to figure out if we can be together. Like I'm 15. I will do this the rest of my life, okay? I will be looking at their age. Is it acceptable for me to be in love with them? And I guess the answer is yes.
Yeah. You're like, 31's so old. I'm only an adult teenager.
I'm just a little baby teenage adult. No, Cassie, you're fucking 25 going on 26.
We're not babies anymore.
Yeah. Well, what's your pod don't post?
My pod don't post is, I'm glad that I don't have access to my Twitter circle anymore, because if I did, I would totally be shit posting when I'm depressed. Like, I'm 15. Like, when you're like, when you're like in high school and you're upset and your like friends are hanging out with each other, so you're like posting about like, I'm sad, guys. Why does nobody care about me? And it's like, me being like 26 and doing that is actually cringe. It's not live your truth cringe. It's like, Mariah, text your friends cringe. I'm glad I don't have access to Twitter, because I would totally be posting like that when I'm upset, because I sometimes resist the urge to do so. And Twitter circle felt so good to post on when you were like sad, because only like 30 people saw it.
Although then I started to feel guilty that those people had to see it.
Oh my god, right? Then I'm like, oh my god, this person that like I was friends with in high school and haven't talked to in 10 years, but like them enough to put them on my Twitter circle, is reading about me being depressed.
Sometimes I think about like making like a Twitter spam account that's completely anonymous. And I'm like, for what? For what? Text your friends.
Write it in your journal, bitch. Yeah.
Like, go cry about it.
Go cry about it, literally. Well, that's a wrap on this week's episode. Be sure to follow the Cassie and Mariah Show wherever you listen to podcasts, at TCMS Pod on Instagram, and look out for new episodes every Wednesday.
Bye.